So, one of the main things you must consider when you're thinking about buying a Hotas system, in this case, this is the T-Flight Hotas X by Thrustmaster, which is easy for me to say, is how much space they take up. Because trust me, these things are huge. I didn't realise how big it would be until I've got one. So we're going to have a look around my little desk here. So the T-Flight Hotas X is a Hotas system. So you have your stick and you have your throttle. And the two are connected by a wire, and you can, I'm not sure if I can do this, but basically you've probably seen the pictures, but you can click them together and then you do up 2 Allen bolts and it becomes one unit then. So it takes up a different amount of space in a different area on your desk. And so for kind of comparison, there's a full-size keyboard at the back, and as you can see, this unit is almost as big as that, and it's definitely thicker because from the front you kind of have these stabilizers that stick out the back to stop it rocking about, and they take up an awful lot of space. And as another comparison, there's a little Xbox Gamepad. See how tiny that is compared to these. What this means is I think probably the ideal kind of setup would be to have them separate, and I've tried this but my desk isn't big enough. Have them so you maybe had your throttle to one side of your keyboard and your joystick to the other side of the keyboard, and then you'd also have a little bit of space for your mouse, because in all these flight simulators you need to be able to access your mouse and your keyboard as well as your Hotas system. Now the compromise that I've come to is actually I have these two bolted together, and I don't have them on my desk, I have them on my lap, and that way my keyboard comes forward, my mouse is available, obviously my gamepad isn't around, and that way I can use my Hotas system, I can use the throttle, I can use the stick, and I can still use the keyboard for the other keyboard bindings, and I can still use my mouse where I need to in the menus and things like that. So, and I'd imagine the Hotas X is probably one of the smaller Hotas systems. As far as weight goes, they're not actually these ones aren't actually very heavy because they're plasticky, but what that does mean is that if it is on a desk, you don't want bits hanging over. Otherwise, as you're pulling on bits, it will rock around like that. You want it to be fully on, and preferably what I tend to do is if I'm doing some violent maneuvers, I'll put one hand on the joystick as I'm pulling it back, so it doesn't sort of tip around like that. So there we go. Hotas units are bigger than you would expect. Make sure you've got enough room, but with a system like the Hotas X, because the fact they do lock together, you can actually have it on your lap, and then you don't need any desk space at all. Okay, hopefully that's useful. If it has been, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe, and of course I'll see you again soon.